All right, welcome to another episode of Forge Father FM. I am Travis, and today we got another success session, which I'm extremely pumped to have this one with my man Casey, who has absolutely been annihilating it in the program from day one. Came in, put his head down, and just started getting to work. And here we are, nearly 4 months later, and I'm excited to have you on the show here, Casey, so you can share some of your success here, but just let everybody in on your personal journey, man. So,
Sure, man.
how
Appreciate
is
it.
it coming along, brother? How we feeling, man?
Feeling great. Feeling great, man. I could say that the Forest Father, just for me, has been a game changer. Like I said, you mentioned I've been in for right at 16 weeks now, and
Mhm.
um, I didn't hold back. I jumped in with
Nope.
both feet and got after it. I I started the program right at about 280 pounds. I think it was 282
Yep.
when I started. And I'm a big guy. I'm tall. I'm 6'4". So I mean, I carried it well. I didn't have a lot of people, necessarily saying I was overweight and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
carried it well. I had quite a bit of muscle, but man, I have down. When I weighed this morning, I was 239. So
Right.
I'm down over 40 pounds, and feeling great. The biggest thing for me was I'm a firefighter for the city of Dallas, and that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is my fatigue level when we have fires and stuff is nothing compared to what it was, just 4 short months ago. So
Yeah.
um,
I got a chuckle out of our last conversation about a week ago or so. We were just checking on progress and whatnot, and you mentioned your boss was like, you guys had a fire, a rooftop fire or something like that, and you're coming back over to the ladder, and you said something like your boss was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? So
yeah, it
that's
is.
I guess that's always a good compliment when you get people, asking you that.
Yep.
But yeah, so you kind of introduced yourself a little bit, but yeah, kind of talk about where you were before the program, and I guess what really got you interested in Forge Father to begin with.
Um, Really, for me, I mean, I've always had. I was an athlete in college. Played college baseball. Came straight out of college and got onto a very physically demanding job, which I've been doing. This next month, will actually be for 23 years. I've been on the fire department. Um, Always had a fitness mindset. Tried to stay in shape. I've tried a lot of different workout programs and different types of diets, whether it's intermittent fasting or just count. And I had counted macros some prior to getting into Forest Father, but the things that I really liked about Forest Father when I came across you and your site were that it was more holistic. It wasn't just about fitness and nutrition, but you're trying to make better dads, and I believe in that. As a Christian, I feel like we, as men, are called to lead our households and both physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And so it's a, I like the Forge Father in the sense that it was a well-rounded program that I had a pretty good grasp on that side of things. And I'm different, I know, from a lot of guys that are in the program in the sense that, and I'm 46 years old. My wife and I got married young and we had kids young. So my kids are both out of the house.
Yep.
And so some of the same stressors that, are the stressors that don't have to deal with. A lot of the guys that I know have got small kids
Yep.
and stuff in the house. So, but that was the main thing that drew me to the program. Was it being more about an actual lifestyle change and a holistic as opposed to just another quick fix or you know nutritional workout program, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember having that first conversation. What were some of the things that were, I guess, holding you back from getting to the point that you are today? We're over 40 pounds down. Your strength is up. Your physique is transformed completely. You also lost your magnificent stash that you had, man. That's like part of the transformation too. But talk a little bit about, I guess, what were some of the things that you're going through leading up to, beginning the program?
Well, I mean, I just, stress in general. I mean, whether your kids are out of the house or not. My son actually was not out of the house when we started the program. When I started, he just went off to college this past August. So, just stress from that standpoint. Just a physically demanding job. I felt like I am a very type A personality in the sense that I felt like a lot of the stuff that I had done in the past, I would start and I would kind of get bored with it, and did not necessarily have any accountability, so to speak, when it came to that. And so I would, get bored and I'd lay off for a little bit, and kind of go backwards. And so I really just felt like I needed the structure, and I learned a ton. I remember in one of the very first conversations we had, you said it's my job and it's our job as coaches here at Forge Father to teach you, everything you need to know in 16 weeks, so that you can ascend and move forward after that. And so I really took that to heart, and I really dug into, all of the foundation videos and stuff that you put out, and jumped on the calls. Tried to get on as many of the live calls as I could and ask questions of Jeremy and ask questions of Frank. And that for me just it really made all the difference. But I was at a point where I was stuck, and I was sick of being where I was at. And I knew I needed something that would hold my feet to the fire, so to speak, a little bit more, as far as staying disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. And you being a firefighter, there's a number of guys that I've worked with in the past that have been firefighters, police officers, so you kind of have a little bit of a rotating shift. And then obviously certain shifts can be completely different from the other one, where you get a fire called and you're out all night, versus another one, you don't get any calls at all. So you get a nice night of sleep and whatnot. So talk a little bit about that, like with the rotating shifts. What does that look like for you?
Well, I mean, I've always said that being a fireman's the greatest job in the world. I really, when you break it down, we work a 24-hour on, 48-hour off. And so while I'm working for 24 hours, I'm technically only going to work 10 days a month.
Yeah.
So it was good for me in the sense that I have a lot of time on my days off to make sure that I got the workouts in that I needed to get in, and got the meal prep done, so that I had my stuff laid out for me for the week. But shift work can be tough. We say in the fire service a lot, they don't pay us for what we do. They pay us for what we're willing to do. And, like you said, I mean, just this past week, we had Monday night, I was working. Actually, I pulled a double. So I worked Sunday and Monday. I worked 48 straight. And Sunday wasn't a bad day, had a good night. But Monday was a pretty busy day. And then we had a pretty good high-rise fire that night, and I got zero sleep. And so I had to move some stuff around in my schedule this week. I took Tuesday as a rest day, instead of Thursday, instead of today. And, cause I had to come home and go to bed just because I was trashed. So it can be a challenge, but, I'm very blessed in the sense that, our department puts a pretty good amount of stress on us staying physically fit. So we have workout stuff at the station. I have pretty much everything that I need at the station. So I was able to get workouts done while I was at the station. The biggest challenge of being a fireman and doing this program is the eating. Firehouses are notorious for Jeremy and I talked about this a little bit with his history as a paramedic, but, you know, fire departments, fire stations are notorious for eating horrible food.
Sure.
I think that's changed a little bit over the years, but, you know, when I first got on as a rookie, you know, 20 plus years ago, I mean, it was, you know, it was eggs, fried potatoes, biscuits, gravy, sausage for breakfast.
Yeah.
It was hamburgers for lunch, and it was chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes for dinner. I mean,
all the good food.
yeah. And so that for me was a huge milestone, and really seeing how dedicated I was going to be to this program was, you know, my wife jumped on board with me, which was awesome. And she's actually lost a good amount of weight too, just kind of tagging along and doing what I'm doing. But we set aside Saturdays and Sundays as meal preps, and we went grocery shopping, and we did all of our meal prep for the entire week, every Saturday or Sunday, depending on whether I was at the station Saturday, Sunday. So I had my stuff laid out every morning. I would pack my lunch box and take off for the station, and it was difficult at times, but I stuck to it, and I can honestly say that in 16 weeks in the program, I've eaten 2 meals at the fire station. And that's what's made all the difference for me. I mean, it's just being all in, 100% committed, and sticking to it no matter what.
Yeah, and I think really what it comes down to is controlling what you can control, right? And if you're not in a situation where you don't have full control, what can you do outside of that in prep to put yourself in a position where you do have control? So it sounds like to me, you already knew eating at the fire station and just kind of giving into that. And I think that's where a lot of guys go wrong. Just they have this mentality like, well, like I have to eat this food, or I don't want to be that guy that's bringing in his own food and I'm kind of the weirdo off to the side. And it's like, well, now you got everybody asking you what the hell you're doing, right? They want to know. But that is something that I wanted to talk about a little bit for you. And I think the big thing here is just the prep and the time that you devoted to, you know, preparing and having your food readily available. Because that's kind of the big intimidating thing for a lot of guys, right? And when you say you had your food dialed in and locked in, that doesn't mean that I wrote up some strict plan and you can only eat chicken and broccoli every single meal, right?
Oh, no.
So talk a little bit more about that, like as far as what really helped you the best. Obviously, preparing the food, having that stuff ready to go, but what have you discovered over time to help make that work so well?
Yeah, I mean, flexibility is huge. And like you said, you know, with you guys at Force Father, you know, and you and yourself and Jeremy, you know, you didn't tell me what to eat. You just told me what macros to get in. Sure. And we got to fill in the gaps there and eat what we wanted to eat as long as we were able to stay in those numbers. And so that's big for me in the sense, and I think it's big for anybody, is that it's you know, you go 16 weeks straight of eating nothing but chicken breast, broccoli, and rice, and that's not sustainable. Yeah. We had several things that came up over the course of, you know, these 16 weeks, from my mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary party, and, you know, my wife and I's anniversary, and some birthdays and stuff like that. And the flexibility that would allow me to know going into that week that, hey, look, I've got on Saturday night, you know, my wife and I are going out for, you know, anniversary. And so, you know, what you talk a lot about, the 80-20, and having a balance there. And, you know, I would just make it work. I would, you know, I might skip breakfast, and eat just maybe a really light lunch or something, on the night that I knew that we were going to be going out, you know, that evening, to eat more of a, you know, a meal that wasn't necessarily, or was harder to track, I guess is what I'm getting at. Yep. Eating out it's tough. When you're actually tracking to the point that I was. I mean, I was measuring for a long time. I've gotten pretty good now with eyeball and stuff,
Yep.
but
Yep.
for the longest time, I was down to the gram. Had my digital scale with me everywhere I went, with the exception of restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's that flexibility that's in the program makes it sustainable. And it's something that now, one thing that I've noticed that's really big is that the types of foods that my body craves now are not the same that they were before.
Yeah.
I was never a big sweet guy, but at the same time, if you put ice cream in front of me, I was going to eat it, and there's ice cream at the station every single shift.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot remember the last time I had a bite of ice cream. And it's not that have this, unbelievable willpower and I'm not going to do it. I'm not even craving it.
Yeah.
And I guess the last time my wife and I went out to eat, when we took our son down to college and he wanted to go eat Mexican food, and that's, it's always been a big deal at our house is Mexican food, living here in Texas. But, and we went and we ate, but honestly, like it just didn't, it tasted good, I guess, but my body was just like, I could take it or leave it, really.
Yep.
And so it really has been a lifestyle change from the standpoint of it's kind of rewired my brain, so to speak, to the types of foods that I know my body responds on. And I knew eating that, and my workout the next day is probably not going to be near as good, And so, but yeah, that's the flexibility in the program is huge when it comes to your meals.
Yeah. And it's interesting what happens when you really hunker down in the beginning, because it's always going to take work. Anything that you want to achieve that is really worth having is worth putting in the work at the front end. And so you mentioned you were really diligent about weighing and measuring your food. And a lot of people are going to listen to that and they're going to be like, nope, I don't want to weigh and measure my food. It's like, well, you can continue to just guess and hope and wish and pray that your results are going to suddenly happen. But it's like, if you have more control over that in the beginning, for sure, you're going to put yourself into a position where you're going to create that success. And then you get to a point where you're at. And oftentimes that's what we find is like the first couple of months, it is tedious. It's a lot of work, but then you start to ease up and you can eyeball stuff and you get to a point where it has become a huge skill set for you where you don't even have to measure anymore. But at the same time, it's like you've gotten to the weight that you want to be at. You've gotten to the body composition that you want to be at, and you can kind of live there. And it is what it is versus kind of starting and stopping, oh, this sucks. I don't want to do this. I'll just try this other tactic. And you never get over that hump. And I'm sure that you can agree that once you did get into it and you started to see the results, like that in itself is kind of a big motivator to keep you doing that hard work, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, I think that's the big thing that a lot of guys run into is they don't stick it out for long enough, right? They just try it for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and bounce to the next thing, right? So that's huge, and now you've put yourself into a position where you can continue to move that forward. And what I always love to hear is your wife got on board with it. Right. So she's experienced the benefits from it too. Right. So, and you guys have had anniversaries, and we even had, the summer was here. We had, summer weather, but also 4th of July, those types of things. And guys are quick to say, oh, well, it's summertime. I can't dial in on my nutrition. It's like, it's only 1 day, 2 days, or even if it's an anniversary, it's only Saturday and Sunday. Like what's going on all the other days, right? So, but yeah, big takeaways there for sure. Now on the other side, where you've really been crushing it is the training. So talk a little bit about your workouts. What were you doing prior? I think you were doing a little bit of CrossFit and stuff like that beforehand, right?
Had done CrossFit, actually at a box, 4 or 5 years ago. Now I guess it has been. But I've always It CrossFit for us, I mean, there was 4 of us going to it, and it was just too expensive for us to maintain that. And so I had told my wife back then, I said, if you'll just give me 2 months worth of what we're spending at CrossFit for the 4 of us, I can put together my garage gym, or us a garage gym that will have everything that we need. And so I don't have a gym membership. I do have access to some things at the fire station as far as more dumbbells than what I have at home.
Sure.
But the workouts, the thing that the customization of the workouts, I guess, was big. I have already had, like I said, I jumped right in from college athletics into a very physically demanding job, and I've already had a shoulder surgery and a back surgery, actually in the last 6 years, the 2 of them. And so that was something that for me, and workout wise, that I was also looking for in a program was the flexibility in the program to substitute for things that I felt like put my body in a bad position. And my back is not an issue. I recovered from both of those surgeries, no problem, really. But there's things that I still am tentative about, or positions that my body doesn't like to necessarily be in, just due to the mobility. That's mainly in my shoulders. But I like the fact that the workout program started out slow. I talked to both you and to Frank, on my onboarding about the fact that the injuries that I had, the concerns that I had, and what the thing that I had always done in the past was, as an athlete and as a former athlete and as a type A personality, so a lot of times it was hard for me to check my ego at the door. So I might go for a couple of weeks and not be really consistent with workouts, kind of fall off, and then I'd get back in. I'm like, man, I got to get back rolling, and I'd get back in there and I'd try to start moving the exact same weight and doing the same intensity of workouts that I was doing whenever I was more fit. And then I would end up with, oh man, now my knees are hurting me, my elbows are hurting, this and that. And so starting out slow was big. And for me, and I actually just had this conversation yesterday with one of my buddies that got involved with Forge Father just recently, was that you've got to trust the program. And if they've got you doing body weight stuff right now to start out with, just do the body weight stuff. Don't try to add other stuff to it. Mobility and flexibility are huge. Take those days, and your Thursdays and your Sundays were the way mine was programmed in, were rest days. And but I didn't just rest. It was active rest. I was still walking, trying to get my 10,000 steps in, doing mobility work and stretching, and all that to keep myself prepared for the workouts that were coming up. And then as things ramped up, I guess I was only about 4 weeks in whenever summer games hit. And I didn't know if you guys were going to allow me to jump into the summer games programming or not. And you did. And I was very grateful for that, because, I've seen some huge gains, and I've had PRs, pretty consistent throughout the workouts, moving forward. So, but like I said, going from, kind of a slow progression and easing your body into, as you ramp things up. And, we were just talking the other day about pull-ups. Pull-ups have always been a struggle for me. And I'm at a point now where, I'm not repping out 60 or anything at a time, but I'm getting what's prescribed for the workout. I'm getting them in, and I'm getting them in strict. So, awesome. But I'm also 40 pounds lighter, so I'm having to move 40 pounds less too.
Works wonders, right?
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, what you say there is, being an athlete that competed at a high level, and your personality, a lot of us struggle with this. I mean, you're just a competitive dude through and through, and so you feel the need to get back up to that top level. However, as we start to get older, late 30s, 40s, 50s, shoot, we got guys in their 60s in the program as well. You got to think longevity. Like, this isn't a 30-day sprint. We're not trying to hit PRs in 30 days. Like, the PRs will come when you put in that work on the front end. So just like we were talking about nutrition, it's like, get all the fundamentals down, do the tedious work on the front end, do the prep work, and things are going to start to come along. Same thing with training. It's like, take care of those old injuries, improve your ability to move your body through a full range of motion without pain. And those PRs tend to come, they just tend to show up at that point, right? So you just got to follow the path, really. So, because
actually my PRs, you mentioned that, and it's so true. My PRs have not come on days when I'm trying to max out. They've come on days when we're working down to a heavy 2, and I've felt good, and so I've just tried a little bit more, and that's where my PRs have come in. So it's been good.
And one of the big things we always want you guys to take away from the training side of things is, it's never a thing that's set in stone. Like, while you're following the programming, what you'll notice is I don't put a lot of percentages in there, because you get to a certain point where you are experienced. You got to kind of go off of feel and intuition. So there's going to be some days where I say work up to heavy set of 5, but you're like, I feel like freaking Superman today. And so maybe you push it a little bit harder and you see what you can do for 1 or 2 that day. And you're like, holy heck. Right. So it's just kind of one of those things where, again, you build that skill set, learn how to listen to your body, knowing, some days you could have worked crazy shift the couple days before, and you come in and I'm saying, hey, I want you to build up to a heavy set of 2 and really push it. And you're like, I just don't have it today. You don't get pissed off at yourself, and you don't say, oh, I'm losing out. It is what it is. And so you just drop the intensity a little bit, hit the session, hit it hard to your best ability of that day. And guess what? You get to come back for another day later. Right.
True. That's right.
So,
absolutely.
Because another thing that a lot of us competitive guys do is, we'll have those days and we don't even think about all the stress and all the lack of sleep that we've gone through the last week. It's like, today I want to be my best self, and we try to push a little bit too much, and that's when we end up injuring ourselves, right? So, but no, man, it's been awesome to see that when you post your videos up in there, and it's just like, holy shit. Like, despite not even being in like a performance-based phase of nutrition, like we are still shredding for a good period of that time, and your PRs are going up. So that's always a kind of a big bonus out of it all. You're losing body fat, you're losing weight, but then you're also building strength at the same time. So
absolutely,
kind of the sweet spot everybody wants to get to. But
other
than that, what are some other big ahas that you've taken away from the program up to this point that you'd like to share? Anything else that comes top of mind for you?
I think if I was going to, just for guys that may be looking at getting involved with this, or maybe just getting started, one thing that I would highly, highly recommend to you is pre-tracking on your foods, especially early on when you're first getting rolling and you're in more of a build. So I know that you guys program that most people are actually under eating when they first get involved with the program. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to people. If you're overweight, you're like, how am I under eating? But it's not necessarily, it may not be calories, but it may just be, the amount of protein that you're feeding your body so that it can supply those muscles. And so pre-tracking is really, really important was for me, just from the standpoint of, if I got up and I didn't have my meals prepped, and I tried to just throughout the day track on my Fitness Pal and make sure that I was hitting my protein and staying under my calories during those first couple of weeks. There was times that I felt like, man, I can't eat anymore, or like I can't, but if I pre-tracked out and made my meals and had them already in my Fitness Pal for the following day, so then, it's something you talk about in a lot of your videos, is that there's a lot of times we got to play food Tetris.
Yeah.
We get to you may get those main 3 meals programmed in, and okay, I've got my protein shake for after my workout and this, but then you kind of comes down to the end of the day and you're like, man, I need to get, especially once you get full scale macros.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I got more fat and more carbs I got to get in today, or I've got, 10 more grams of protein. How am I going to do this? And so, it was a challenge, but it was kind of fun. Like my wife and I actually would laugh about it. We sat on the couch the night before and we're going through kind of what we were going to be eating the next day and how to plug that stuff in and get those numbers as close to, kind of made a game out of it. But it's a big help, because if you try to do that during the day while you're eating all of it, unless you just don't work and you stay at home, I mean, that's really difficult for somebody to do that's working 8 hours a day. And then for me, my being gone for 24 hours, I had to make sure that I had everything I needed for those 24 hours when I left the house, because I don't get an opportunity to come home. And I can't go grab something while we're on shift really either. So, pre-tracking, and then, just trusting the process. You guys, the 3 of y'all did an excellent job, in my opinion, coaching wise. And, I trusted what you were saying, and it worked. So, it may seem like it's a lot, and it is when you first get rolling and you got all those foundational videos that you got to get through and all that stuff. Man, I don't have time for all this stuff. But if you'll do the work and you'll spend just a little bit of time doing those things, it's amazing how much you pick up and learn. And going back, like I constantly am going back and re-looking at a video. I talked last week about just periodization, and how moving forward, I'm looking forward to periodizing my year out, so that I've got different, times of the year where I'm really dialed in, and then other times around holidays and stuff that I'm not going to have to track as closely and stuff. So, that's really about it though.
Yeah, that's good stuff. One thing that comes to my mind is, especially when you first come in, because before even coming into the program, the conversation that we have, it's, we make pretty damn sure that you are a 10 out of 10. Like, this is a priority to you in your life. You're pretty much ready to get rid of the bullshit excuses. And really it's about, hey, let's draw that line in the sand and let's step across. Right. But that's really when the real work starts. And so I like to think of it almost as like a rite of passage. Those first couple of weeks, there's a lot of stuff for a guy to go through, but that's going to be the thing that really creates his foundation. And then we can build up on top of it later down the road. And then you get yourself to where you're at. It's like, how would you rank things now that we've gone through this process to where you are now? It's like, it almost feels not in a sense like effortless, like you don't have to put in the work anymore, but it is almost to that point where it's kind of new lifestyle, new routines, new patterns that you're going through.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I spoke to earlier about, foods in the past that I would have gravitated towards, those for me just now, they just don't have the same luster that they did before. And so, like I said, my wife and I are very blessed in the sense that we're not having to prepare, chicken nuggets and stuff like that for little kids.
Mac and cheese, baby.
Yeah, cooking 2 different meals. And so, we've really got that dialed in. And I do most of the cooking, but I enjoy that. My wife she's a nurse and works a very demanding schedule as well. And so, But we just have made it a point that, that, hey, this is how we want to live. And so, it is a lifestyle change. But it's not something that I feel like I'm restricted, at all. So from that standpoint, it's great. Awesome, but yeah, man. I am. I mean, to what you spoke to, I'm kind of in coast mode right now. I'm actually I'm going to finish up I've decided I'm going to finish up hard through October, and just see exactly where body fat percentage and physique and all that stuff get to. And then for me, November, December, and then January, I'm going to just kind of coast a little bit, and actually try to go probably starting in January and February, first part of March. I'm probably going to go into a build and see. I don't feel like I've lost a whole lot of muscle. My in-body scan this last time said that I had lost a total of 6 pounds of muscle. And that was over a 2-month span from the last time I had my in-body scan done. So, strength wise, you mentioned it. I mean, I've hit PRs just in the last couple of weeks when I've been on my shred. So I don't feel weak at all. But I've got some areas of the body that I want to work on. Now that I'm getting to a point where I can do pull-ups, like I'm going to really dial in and work hard on some back stuff, upper back stuff with this next spring, just to try to build that up a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I'm pleased, and but I can't, I've told you this before, I can't say enough, about the Forge Father program. I mean, it's great. I've had tons of guys ask. I know there's 2 that are gotten involved, just from the firehouse since I started, which a funny note on that too is that it was no joke. I was down 25 pounds before anybody said anything to me about losing weight. So that's another thing, is that not that I'm not an affirmation person, so to speak. But when you start seeing that scale drop on your own, and that's another big thing about the program that I really liked, was that every Sunday morning it's get up, take pictures, take measurements, and weigh and see where you're really at for that week. And that helps to propel you and motivate you even more when you're seeing those things change. So that's good.
Own up Sundays, man. The numbers are the numbers, right? The pictures are the pictures too. But yeah, that's huge. And yeah, you really haven't had to say anything. It's just the actions and the results that you've achieved up to this point speak for themselves. So appreciate all the word that you are spreading with the 2 guys that are in the program now. Excited to get them rocking and rolling. Well, Ryan, he's off and going right now. And then Tyler's going to be starting up here next month, which I'm excited about. So, but yeah, man, certainly leading from the front. And I know I've talked about this to you, but you being in the profession that you are, a firefighter, shoot, even in your own firehouse, like, great place to be a leader, great place to step up, be the example. It's just going to have more impact on everybody else there. And shoot, man, strive to have the best firehouse around, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
But, no, it's certainly been an awesome journey, and I admire all the hard work, proud of what you've been able to achieve over these past couple of months, and I'm excited to see where you take yourself from here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Right on, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time.
You bet.
Let's keep putting in that work, man.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Awesome.
Take care.